はアルとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker, huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking, huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper, with the little, cause on my lap, a shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her. Ask the if I didn't choke her. If she try to front, then I drop the
Episode 97 of That World Champion Sound Virtual Pros Podcast. My name is Al, aka Henny Omega, aka the Bandman, aka Bougie Nagata, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka Super Brazy, aka Pete Gas Break Dip Dip, aka No Speak Broke Boy, call me Shinsuke Stack a Bill Up. And with me, one half of the Holy Scheming Army, one half of Blemolition, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? It's Mike, a.k.a. Wavy Boy Smith, a.k.a. Sticky Fuji, a.k.a. Tim Tam Bigelow, a.k.a. Cracker Mike. I stumbled there because the notes on the iPhone changed all of a sudden, and I couldn't find any of my notes. So,
oh shit, man. Your notes about your name, Mike.
Yeah,
they were not. They were not.
Yeah, I forgot what my name was. Yeah.
Today's topic: a fall season catch up. Al and Mike discuss the newfound wrestling wars with their old ass brains. Hit us on iTunes. Hit us on Spotify. Hit us on SoundCloud. Hit that heart. You know I like it. We're also on Discord. Mike has a gaming channel on Twitch. He hasn't been on in a while, but I am eager, hopefully, to see him play some NBA 2K since the season's coming up. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Also, we're on Twitter and Instagram. You can tell we're pretty rusty, man. These notes are really fucking us up, both of us, on both ends. We took a little break. I went to Hawaii. So, how many weeks we missed? 2?
It's almost been a full month.
Holy shit.
Last episode was September 19th, and this will pretty much drop on the 18th of October, so.
God damn, a month. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, within that month, we've accumulated a ton of emails.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you mind starting off with that first one?
Well, I have a couple things to address, but first about the emails. As I said, I think starting from the last episode, I think I said that you could just drop questions in the Discord now. Unfortunately, we have enough emails where I think we're going to maybe bypass the 9 million questions that are also in the Discord. Yeah. Maybe next episode, I will give priority to all the Discord questions that we forgot. But unfortunately, if you were lazy and didn't use real email, you're probably not getting your question read this episode. But we'll get back to them at some point. Outside of that, as Al said, we've been gone for about a month, a little rusty. It's going to be like a catch-up episode and all that stuff, like just a long 2-man scramble, basically. But I have to make an apology. I hurt somebody's feelings last episode. That person is NXT wrestler Brandon Vink. I had some like, I guess some unkind words about Brandon's t-shirt that the NXT released that is pretty plain. And I said, I think I said that no one knows who Brandon Vink is. And he's taken a Twitter campaign basically trying to slander the good name of Virtual Pros. I think it's WWE Vink. If you want to see him, he only has like 20 followers and he has like nothing better to do than to talk to Virtual Pros all day. But it's real sad. It's been a few weeks since NXT has been on USA. Still haven't seen Brandon Vink pop up, but just wanted to apologize to him for hurting his feelings so bad. But no, seriously, I got canceled on Twitter a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to talk about that in a serious tone. But so I guess last episode we had a segment in our mixtape segment where we talked about the very small promotion Gato move, and out of all the wild shit we've ever said on this show, of course it's the thing that has, probably a fan base of like 400 people. That's going to be the thing that people are going to get upset about, of course. And I said some stuff that I guess after re-listening could be misconstrued. I was talking about their YouTube commentator, and I kind of, in the same breath, mentioned that he had an accent, and that also that it sounded unprofessional. So I guess it could have been misconstrued that I meant that since he had an accent, that it sounded unprofessional, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say the only people that probably thought that were people who only listened to that 10 minutes of Virtual Pros in their whole entire lives, because it's awfully strange if you listen to the previous 95 episodes that I just picked episode 96 to finally just be out and out racist. That's very weird for a person who's primarily talks about foreign wrestling on a podcast to just be just let it loose on episode 96. But sincerely, if you did think I was being racist for some reason, I'm sorry if it came off that way. I totally did not mean to say that it sounded unprofessional because this man had an accent. It sounded unprofessional because it sounded like it was recorded with like your laptop mic, and it probably was. But whatever. It's a small promotion. I also think people kind of got the idea that I hated Gato Move because it was for perverts, but I love that stuff. I was even telling my friends that I want to start like Gato Move USA. Like I just want to rent out a storefront, and that's what I want to retire doing, is just having like a weird wrestling promotion inside of a store. So yeah, I don't hate Gato Move either, but I mostly, who I really want to apologize to is to Al, because apparently, again, the same people who probably listen to 5 minutes of Virtual Pros ever in their whole lives just assumed Al was white, which that they're calling us cracker. I don't mind if you call me cracker. That's fine. I mean, it really hurts my feelings that some fucking teen in Europe is calling me a cracker. I had a big cry over that, but it does hurt my feelings more that people just assume Al is white. I guess because he does a podcast about wrestling. That's a little more racist than me thinking somebody is from Southeast Asia because I don't know geography. So maybe do your fucking homework before you start calling people cracker. But yeah, that's it. I am truly sorry for anybody who is a longtime listener of this show that may have thought I just decided to be racist because a man had an accent, but that is totally not what I meant. Everybody else who only listened to 10 minutes of the show and never listen to anything else, you could fuck right off. I don't care about you. Al, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, or if you don't, I can move on to the emails.
Hold on. Let me call the Southeast Asian Man contingent. Let me see if this is an acceptable apology. Hold on. I'm on the phone with them. Yeah, they're good with it. We can commence with the podcast. Okay, cool. So the first email is from Joe Spostu, the famous Joe Spostu. He does a couple podcasts. He's done some ring announcing before, ring commentating before. He has an email. It was about episode 96, so take your time machines back to a month ago. Oh, I should also mention again before we start, I mentioned this on Border Boss, but that episode hasn't come out yet, but I have not been able to smoke weed for like the past couple weeks, and a little insider secrets to people who are longtime Virtual Pros fans. I am pretty much, if it's not work hours, I'm never sober. Like in my whole entire life, I'm just never sober. So, this is like a new clear mic. Like I'm just speaking with clarity. So I'm sorry if I speak too much or I speak too loudly or I speak too fast, but I'm not used to this lifestyle. So, yeah, it's just, I might sound a little different. But anyways, the first emails from Joe, episode 96. Alan Mike, first of all, fuck Discord. You hear that, Discord guys? Fuck you. Nah, not really, but if it's affecting the mailbag, people need to step up and put that digital stamp on a digital text file. Just don't chat with the Discord while recording. It's distracting and terrible. Very rarely am I moved by a lady wrestler the way I am by Kana Asuka. But even her gaming channel is a bridge too far from me. And feet, hey man, to each their own. The true tale are the comment section, which seem tame so far, but it could get dark quick. Speaking of dark, give me a call when the big guy does the Bean Boozled challenge or a Bud Dwyer tribute video. Oh, come on, Joe. Don't enable Mike about this, man.
There's a lot of people have jumped on the Ryback Suicide Watch wagon. Cause,
I know. It's not good.
I'm torn on the NXT shirts. Yes, they are lazy. Yes, they are so bad PWT and the AEW people are dunking on them. But I know a lot of those dudes, and they seem pretty excited to have officially licensed WWE merchandise. Maybe if a 50% coupon slips in my DMs, I may buy a Malcolm Bivens shirt. Getting a pic with a wrestler can be dicey, but live by the words I passed along to young Ed of Pod Van Dam. Be cool, say as few words as possible, read the room, and never hover hand. Keep up the good work, Joe, a.k.a. Leonard F. Chikara's son. Oh, man, he's just outing himself here. I didn't know if he ever wanted me to mention that. I thought he tried to move beyond that. But yeah, this is the Leonard F. Chikara son, a.k.a. Chikara san, a.k.a. Diamond Joe Leonard, a.k.a. Brendan Fraser Vink. About those NXT t-shirts. So I get, I've heard that like these dudes are mostly, a lot of these people, this is definitely, I think it's all of them. It's definitely like their first piece of WWE merch. And that's pretty sweet. But at the same time, I got an email the other day that was like a huge store-wide sale on NXT shirts. And I went to WWE shop and like every single shirt was on sale except for those shitty ones. And it's just like, what are you doing, man? These shirts are almost $30 and they're terrible. If you're going to put any shirts on sale, put those on sale. So it's pretty strange that they're still trying to squeeze out $28 out of people. But yeah, if they go on sale, that's cool. But it just seems like those people in that wave of shirts got the short end of the stick.
Let's see here. Next email is from Ed, titled, Concerned About a Bad Take. Hey, Virtual Pros boys. This has been bugging me for over a month now. A few episodes ago, you guys talked about rappers Dre tried to get over and failed. Al included Busta Rhymes on that list. How? Al, you don't really have bad takes like this, so it's weird to hear one this wrong from you. I feel like Busta had a great career. He was played a lot on TRL and 106 in Park. Pretty much how you knew you were over at the time. Also, he had that awesome MTV VMA moment with Martha Stewart. He was even on convicted woman beater Chris Brown's biggest hit. So, ready to backpedal on that Busta was an overstatement. Ed, aka Ed from Pod Van Dam, and not the Ed who hates AKAs. Ed is young.
Yeah. So you sound like a real cracker here, by the way. If you don't know that Busta Rhymes was fucking super washed for like 8 years.
I was gonna say, Ed, I'm very curious as to how old you were when like Busta Rhymes was actually good. Like when Disaster Strikes, Extinction Level Event. That's to me like golden era Busta. Yeah. Like, are you a big fan of Busta Rhymes on his appearance on that Pussycat Doll song, or is that peak Busta Rhymes to you? Let me know. I'm very curious as to why you think this is a bad take, because Busta Rhymes, like late 90s, I thought he was the best. How about you, Mike? Am I wrong here? Or what?
No. When Dr. Dre was trying to like reinvigorate Busta Rhymes' career was when Busta Rhymes tried to retcon his past career and was pretending that he used to sell cocaine. And it's like, dude, you were in Leaders of the New School. When I was in grade school, man, you never sold cocaine. And it was just like, and then he jumped on that fucking OG Mako shit or Mako shit. And he fell off the stage at fucking, the Webster. And that was like, not too long ago. That was like 5 years ago. So the dude's been washed for like, 15 years at this point. So, I mean, he was pretty cool for a while, but, like most rappers, it happens to them where, it just stops working. And he had like a long, good career, and he just kind of ruined it by trying to continue it instead of, just doing like the nostalgia act that they all do. But so Ed,
he got
you're
like super buff, like he cut the dreads off, and I was like, I guess, dude. So Ed, I don't know, man. You might want to rethink this. Maybe listen to Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Could See and come back to me about this opinion.
Next one's from Seagulls. It's a short one. Low key fave. Hey, Mike and Al. What stands out as your favorite album that isn't necessarily hailed, critically or commercially, as that artist's best? Love, Seagulls, a.k.a. Let's Get Lost Tonight. You could be my Black Riddick Moss tonight. I think when I read this email a month ago, I actually had some answers, and now...
Me too, man. Fuck.
I don't know if this is unpopular opinion, but my favorite Drake album is the... why can't I remember the name? The one where he's the painting of the child on the cover. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking. It has Pound Cake on there, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck is the name of that album?
It's like Come Home With Me or something. No, it's fucking cool. Why can't I remember this? I'm looking it up. Oh, Nothing Was the Same. That's the one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's my favorite Drake album, and I do not care for his first two records. I don't think they're that good, and I think that's kind of an unpopular opinion. I also think If You're Reading This, It's Too Late is very good. That might actually be my like actual favorite, but I think Nothing Was the Same is kind of his most realized record. Trying to think of any deep cuts. I can't. Maybe when Al says them, I'll remember another one. But that's the first one that pops in my mind.
You're tripping, dude. Take Care is like by far Drake's best album. I really like Nas' Life Is Good. I thought that was a pretty strong Nas re-entry. He fell off though, but it was a nice little blip from Nas. I don't think this is a hot take, but Jay-Z's American Gangster is up there too in terms of like his best work. But I did have some real ass answers and I forgot about them. I'm sorry.
That's what happens.
Yeah, man. After a month, whatever. Next email is from
Tom.
Pro Wrestling Required.
TJ. Tommy. No. What are you fucking that lost, man?
Jesus Christ, man.
Fan interactions and wrestling matches. 10-8-19.
Oh fuck! What's up? What's up, Thomas? All right, yeah. Titled Fan Interactions in Wrestling Matches. Ahoy, Vert Bags. First time writing in, but I've been listening to the podcast for about a year now, starting after I met Al in LA at a GCW show where we connected on our love for VPW and 90s Japanese wrestling, among other things. Anyway, I have a question for you guys. When I lived in Japan, I used to go to wrestling events a couple times a month, usually Freedoms or Big Japan, but occasionally saw New Japan, DDT, and Noah. Never went to a Joshi show. The fans kept me away. Damn, really? One of the best memories, aside from the DDT event in an amusement park during the pouring rain, was a Freedoms event at Shinkiba First Ring. The Brahmin Bros were having an endless summer death match. There were baby pools filled with water around the ring, and they were doing their usual get everyone as wet as possible shtick. One of the bros took out some giant watermelons and began smashing them, a la a 70s Gallagher special, and a large chunk went flying out of the ring into my lap, where I sat in the first row of the bleacher section, 5 rows from the ring. I was a bit drunk, so of course I stood up and hurled it back into the ring, where it hit one of the Brahmin Bros in the back, and he fell down and sold it. The 2 girls I was with jumped up and thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and I couldn't help but think if we weren't already established friends, and more importantly, if I wasn't already in a relationship with my now wife, I probably could have pulled that night. Anyway, my question is, have you been able to inadvertently do something cool in a wrestling match, or have you ever witnessed another fan doing something similar? Mick Foley's Bag of Popcorn and a Battle Royal story comes to mind. Keep up the good work with everything you do. I always listen to the pod when I exercise, and it helps me laugh and get through the sets. Your pal, Tommy, a.k.a. TJ Beast 666, a.k.a. Wing Matsunaga. This just seems like a 2-paragraph flex, T-Wood. I'm sorry, man. Of course, like, Mike and I have never done anything that cool when it comes to a wrestling event. So, you win, TJ. I have no answer for this.
I think I mentioned it last episode, but I saw that guy throw Mance Warner a fucking beer from like 25 feet back while it was open, and Mance Warner caught it, and that was the coolest thing I've ever seen at a wrestling show. And I guess that had to do with a fan. So not me though. I don't really get involved too much. Next email is from Drew. Yep. Thirsty old men. What's up, Vert Bags? With Jim Ross now constantly turning into the worst type of thirsty Twitter user, if you could follow one old man wrestling personality to cringe at their thirstiness, who would it be? Keep up the good work. Drew, a.k.a. Action Swanton, Action Swanton, a.k.a. Cody Hose, Jushin Pump Her Liger. That's kind of gross. I don't want to follow these people being horny. It would have to, like, maybe Bob Backlund. I think Bob Backlund would be a good one, because I can't imagine that guy being horny about anything except exercising. So, seeing him being horny towards ladies would probably be kind of funny to me.
What would be sick if Bill Alfonso got his new teeth in and like a newfound confidence and he was just shooting his shot all over. I would follow that as well. I do remember Great Sasuke. He was liking all kinds of crazy shit, and it would usually involve some big butts. And that was always funny to me because I'm pretty sure that man has a wife and kids.
Yeah.
I don't mean to snitch, but I mean, it's on social media, so.
Every once in a while, Survival Tobito will like retweet something a little raunchy, and that actually brings a smile to my face. So, him too.
Next email is from
Welf,
titled "New Japan New York Recap." Come on, Welf, dude, this is like 13 minutes long of me reading this.
This is pretty good. I could read it for you if you want.
That's fine. I'll do it, Welf. I'm just giving you a hard time. This isn't going to be a thorough recap because it's been so long and some other famous listeners have written it up on the internet. Mainly, this is going to be some observations I noticed on trip with listener Ryan and listener Joe. First things first, big line to get means. We got to go get some drinks. 1. Welcome to New York. Here's your $5 Mango Rita can. Joe got a White Claw. Sigh. Ryan went with Modelo. Ran into listener Maddie at a bodega here. He is what I consider a fly dresser, as his sneakers matched his lavender shirt. We all get in line together, and absolutely no one is drinking. What the fuck is wrong with these nerds? In all caps, mind you. Oh, in front of us was a guy trying to woo a chick by saying Joey Ryan responded no less than 3 times to him on Twitter. I decided I wasn't drunk enough for this, so Ryan had to go back for more. But then, line started moving, and by the time he came back, the line was gone, and we just drank outside. Perfectly normal behavior, and I'm glad I did because, number 2, why is this show taking so long to start? Some Japanese guy came out and spoke broken English about some delay, and then, I kid you not, was on his hands and knees bowing in the ring as an apology. I got real excited because if this wasn't Honda, I got real excited because if this was Honda or Toyota, some head honcho would have come down and made this guy kill himself for fucking up on the job. However, that didn't happen, and they threw shirts to the crowd, none of which made to the balcony. Number 3, speaking of merch, they sold out of almost everything inside and must have made $1 billion. 3B. After this, I was booing loudly because beer inside was $11, and this holdup sucks, and this is when some dude behind us said, "You should be respectful. They flew here from Japan." And if he opened up his yap again, I was gonna send his teeth to Japan. As a casual fan, I was like, well, saw some belts, nerds, weird outfits, a bunch of doofuses, and now this fucking guy. Man, I hate what I'm doing here. But, number 4, this was probably the best wrestling show I've ever seen. Crowd was hot from the go, and all the action, minus that bozo Chase Owens, was pretty great. Couple things. People hate TJP. I didn't realize that, and people seem to hate Kenta, which blew my mind because everyone seemed to love him going to WWE. Lance Archer, dude, wailing on some random young lions or whatever, headed to the ring was sweet. Anyway, people, please drink outside and stop being doofuses. Well, dude, this whole entire email just makes me think that Zona 23 Con 2020 has to happen. I want to drink with Wealth outside so bad. I've done it twice now in my life, and it's always been a good time. So listeners, pester Wealth into going to Mexico. You might do it.
I don't think you have to pester him. He's willing to go for a while. I think it's everybody else that's been dragging ass. Yeah, I don't know if we'd be allowed into Zona 23. Maybe you, Al, but us gringos, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Us crackers. I don't know. It's not like you see like white tourists in that audience, but maybe we'd be breaking some new ground. I don't know.
I just want to sit on that car so bad, man. It'd be like such a fucking vibe.
Next email's from Paul. Orange Glad, it's called. What are your opinions on Orange Cassidy? Personally, I think he's the best wrestler. Him versus Kenny Omega is my dream match. Leon, I guess his name isn't Paul. Let's name Leon, actually. Leon Taco Cat Noel, a.k.a. King of Bong Style, a.k.a. MDK Nick fucking Cage, a.k.a. Mike Smackenbush. I like Orange Cassidy. I think a lot of comedy wrestlers have a shelf life, and I think he's one of the ones that kind of stand out where it's kind of like he does do the same act pretty much every match. But he keeps it sort of fresh, and he's the stuff he does, you can tell he's a very good wrestler. Like, he does a lot of shit with his hands in his pockets that I couldn't even fucking dream of doing, with all of my limbs. So that's always very impressive. I think a lot of humor in wrestling has a longer shelf life than maybe other places because people in wrestling love hearing the same jokes over and over again for some reason. But I do think he's entertaining. I don't know, a year from now, I don't know if I'm going to feel like that because it's the first time I saw him was it was like a few years ago now. I was at that King of Trios where I took the Jeff Hardy picture in front of the Rocky statue, which was, like episode 30 or something. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I saw him. And I was like, man, this guy, he's fucking incredible. I don't know why I never heard of him before. And then he just disappeared for 2 years. And and then he just popped up again. And then he's everywhere now. So, so it just seems like he wrestles a lot. So it might get tiring, but it's been about a year of him constantly wrestling. And I still think it's interesting. I definitely don't think he should be the champion of a major promotion or anything. But as far as comedy wrestler goes, I think he's top notch.
As a devout glasses wearer, I'm always astounded that he can keep those things on during dives. I don't know what kind of trickery he's using, but I'm always curious, and it always amazes me when he does it. But yeah, he's fine. Next email is from Max, titled GCW's Bondage A Go-Go. Hey, Vert Bags, Max from Ohio here again. Did you see this new GCW collective show just announced? Marcus Crane's Bondage A Go-Go. I've seen Marcus Crane have some pretty good death matches, and he's certainly a fan favorite, so I'm not surprised to see he's getting a showcase event. I'm very confused by this list of attractions, though. Live BDSM performances, burlesque, no-ring death matches, and music. I'm pretty over the no-ring death match thing these days, but hey, I doubted the GCW Backyard show, and that ended up being one of my favorite shows this year. Burlesque, in my estimation, is stripping for people who like Big Bang Theory. I have no time for it. The BDSM part is the most confusing to me, though. It could mean just about anything, but I'm guessing it means people with pentagram tattoos getting suspended from hooks, while a band that sounds like Mudvayne plays. I hope anyone who hears this knows that I am laughing with the best intentions because I love GCW and everyone there. I'm hoping this show goes well, and there's no way I will be missing it. This has to be the closest thing to last year's ridiculous Blackcraft show that has been announced for this upcoming Mania weekend. At least, if this experiment fails, GCW will continue unscathed, unlike Blackcraft, who seem to have died off since that event. What are your feelings on this Marcus Crane show and the trend of shows centered around one wrestler in the wake of Joey Janela's spring break? Have a good show, guys. Sending my regards from Ohio. Max. I didn't hear anything about this, so I have nothing to add. However, they announced that Freedoms is going to be there, and I think that's pretty sick. Hopefully they bring some cars from Japan and that garage or something. That was a shocker, but I'll leave it to you, Mike, in regards to addressing this bondage thing.
First off, I made this joke on Twitter a long time ago, but we don't know for sure if Blackcraft really stopped doing shows because they might just be going on in hell right now, and we don't know. They're having many shows in hell because they're evil and scary. No, I think this next WrestleMania weekend is going to be very weird because I don't think there's going to be any indie wrestlers left by the time it happens. So I do think this is going to be a very experimental year to see if people can keep up the whole, having a whole economy based on indie wrestling, because it's fairly new. It's only been for the past few years. So I do think you're going to see more weird stuff than this. As far as the bondage aspect of this, I think I'm with you, Max, where I think it's going to be exactly what you said, because, not to disparage anybody, but I think if it was real shit going down, I think people who have the palate of only eating chicken nuggets would not be adventurous enough to go to that. So I hope for their sake it is just kind of, when you hear bondage and they show you stuff on Real Sex from HBO or something like that. I hope it's not anything too wild. I hope it's not dudes running around with clothespins on their dicks and stuff like that. I hope it's just kind of this guy's suspended on here with hooks. Who hasn't seen that? I've seen that. It's not a big deal. But I don't know. I think that's what it's going to be. I have no interest in seeing it, so maybe it'll go well. But I am kind of interested in all of these kind of theme shows they're doing and seeing which ones work and which ones don't, and seeing who's going to even be around to do this stuff on WrestleMania weekend. So I'm keeping an open mind, but my fight dollars are quickly dwindling. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to afford to watch this stuff by the time it happens, but I guess we'll see. Next email's from Jarrett. It's advice for unhappy boys in the back. This email got formatted weird, so I might be stumbling a lot on this because the formatting's fucked. But hello, virtual pros. Of late, it has come to light that some wrestlers in WWE are unhappy with their current contracts with Vince McMahon. We've seen differing routes of success with wrestlers making online pleas for their releases. Even after we've seen some sign ridiculous deals that put them in rare position of fleecing the King Carnies only to have the tables inevitably turned in revenge and given full-on cuck storylines with their own pregnant wives. Obviously, the independent contractor thing is a total sham, and WWE has proven time and time again to vindictively persecute those that draw their ire. So these guys need to find grounds for release. My question to you, dear podcasters, is what advice would you give to aspiring sad wrestler boys and girls in the back who want to get out from under WWE control to find their happiness? Who's going to be the first superstar to live stream injecting steroids in their ass? Eternally yours, not Jeff Jarrett. That injecting live streams in their ass, or injecting steroids in their ass on live stream is a fucking great idea, honestly. That seems like a foolproof way to get out of your contract. I can't really answer this because I don't have any experience being a wrestler, and I don't really know what goes through your minds when you're like, I'm getting paid several $100,000, but I'm also watching my wife get like fingered on television. I'm not in that position. So, it's like a real moral quandary, I think. I think like it's cool in this day and age where you see people like, again, Rusev and, Big E and a few others who pretty much openly talk about how shit sucks on Twitter, and they're probably going to get punished for it. But, it seems to not work in them being released. It seems like a lot of wrestlers are, doing this shit just so they could maybe get released or get a raise. So I don't really know what the end game is. I think there's been enough history now where if you should know what's going to go on. I know a lot of people probably have the attitude where, it happens to them, but it doesn't happen to me. They're not going to make me watch my wife get banged by another wrestler. That'll never happen to me. But I think there's like enough, history now to be like, maybe I shouldn't resign. So I think you make your bed, you lie in it.
Well, two things here. Like, I feel like I've read that like wrestlers have like purposefully tried to fail tests in order to leave the WWE, and they don't care. If they know you're doing it, they're still going to keep you, which is crazy. Secondly, I guess there's a history of when the storyline like involves like real life couples breaking up, they actually for real break up. And I can't name a couple like off the top of my head. I think maybe Lita and Matt Hardy. Yeah. That happened to them for real after it happened for fake.
Kevin Sullivan and Nancy Sullivan Benoit, and happened there.
Fuck, man, there you go.
Kevin Sullivan got his revenge in the end.
Oh, no, Mike. Anyway, in terms of Jesus Christ, in terms of just having to leave, like advice for that, maybe just pull like a Michael from The Office. Just get on that train and just leave. I don't know. I guess. Yeah,
dude. I said this on Twitter, but like, that dude they changed Chad Gable's name to Shorty Gable. Like, I would just after that match that he had on Raw, I would have just been like, I'm getting in my car, I'm just driving. I don't know where I'm going, and I don't fucking care. Like, I would have just drove until the gas ran out. And, so that dude, like, I don't know, maybe he just has the type of personality where it's like, oh, I don't mind it. But, I mean, I'm pretty thick-skinned when it comes to shit like that, and if it was me, I would have been out. And there's like a lot of stuff that happens that gets people humiliated in WWE where I'm like, that's fine. But that's one thing where I'd be like, nah, I'm done.
For those that hate virtual pros, just tweet Shorty Mike from here on out. And he might get pissed enough to quit.
It could happen.
Last email is from my man Dan, titled A Gorilla. Hi, Alan Mike. I don't know if you've ever gone into this, but what are your thoughts on Brian Alvarez? I am well aware that he has bad taste in bandanas and takes this wrestling shit way too seriously with every single broadcast, but he's the reason my YouTube recommendations are so fucked because I love listening to him get so annoyed by bad television. the way that Desus and Mero lovingly feel about Mike Francesa and his on-air tantrums is how I feel about Senor Alvarez. Secondly, you got to give us an NXT Japan hot take. Thanks. Yeah, kind of same thing. Like, even though like his issues and how mad he gets about this entire draft situation with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, like in the end, like who fucking cares? But there's something about that man's like very shrill voice that like, I just can't turn it off. So I mean, like, I'm a loyal subscriber and I don't really have a reason as to why I enjoy listening to him just complain so much. It's dumb, but I like it. NXT Japan hot take. So I mean, apparently it's going to be Sendai Girls and BJW that's going to bolster this promotion, allegedly. As long as I get Chihiro Hashimoto versus Bianca Belair, they can do whatever the fuck they want. I do think that it would be wild if like Asami Kodaka just showed up on Raw, but I mean, here's my hot take. I think it might be good. I think they're going to get Minoru Suzuki if it happens. How about that? That's my real hot take.
That is a hot take. Yeah,
he's signing with the New York office.
I'm in what is seemingly the minority of people that really kind of can't stand Brian Alvarez. Not enough to never listen to Wrestling Observer Radio or anything like that, but yeah. I definitely usually skip the shows that don't have Dave Meltzer on them. That I don't even really mind how much he throws tantrums. I think it's kind of weird because he reminds me of like I used to listen to like video game podcasts that were made by people like wrote reviews and stuff, like, you know, actual journalists and stuff, and they would like act like it was the biggest chore in the world to play a video game and review it. And I'd be like, I can't listen to this because this is just upsetting me. Because like you for a living, you play video games and review them, and you're acting like you're like fucking digging in the mines, and it's just like, and Brian Alvarez kind of has that going on where it's like, dude, you make a living watching wrestling, and I understand there's a lot of it, and for some reason you make 18 radio shows and you do a newsletter that no one reads, like, because you're on the same page as Dave Meltzer's newsletter. So why is anybody gonna read yours? But anyway, like, it's still, dude, you watch wrestling for 6 hours and then you record podcasts for 6 more hours, and you know you make a living off that. Like, settle down, man. So I don't find it as entertaining, but yeah, I don't know. There's other things that aggravate me about him. Like, he does seem to be one of those people that lives in a bubble and does not have real life experiences. Like, I mean, he does stuff. He's not like sitting in his house all day and he's active and does shit, but like he does that one episode a year where he drinks and he acts like no one has ever drank before, and that like getting drunk is like an insane thing. And it's like, dude, people do this every day. Like, people get drunk every day of their lives, and don't need to record a radio show about it. So I don't know, shit like that rubs me the wrong way. NXT hot takes. Speaking of coincidentally Brian Alvarez, I put on like the first 10 minutes of Wrestling Observer Live today before I realized the other guy wasn't on the show, and it was a solo Brian Alvarez. But he said that he heard when WWE tried to buy Stardom that they asked WWE, what are your plans with Stardom once you buy it? And they said, we don't have any plans. We don't know yet. So my hot take for NXT Japan is that it's gonna be like a long time. Like, it's like they might announce it tomorrow because they're supposedly having some big announcement tomorrow. By the time you hear this, it'll probably already be out. But I have a feeling if they announce NXT Japan, it's not going to be till like 2024 until we see anything that happens with NXT Japan. I am very curious though, because I made a joke on Twitter about them getting a Japanese tape library and having like Corey Graves and Michael Cole just overdub all the commentary, and that's far fetched. But I don't know if they're going to be so quick to be putting a complete Japanese language thing on the WWE network, because I think like their subscriptions in Japan is probably like in the hundreds. So I feel like this is my hot take, if there is an NXT Japan, expect a lot of English speaking, I think. And it's going to be kind of jarring seeing like pretty much like an all Japanese promotion with like English. It's going to be it's going to be pretty strange. I did say we're only going to do emails, but I just want to read this one very quick question from Discord just because it's very interesting to me. It's from Maddie. It says, when Dave Meltzer said one of the best moment in his life was, quote, sex with people who shall be left unnamed. Do you think that person was Manami Toyota? Maddie, a.k.a. Airport Stalker Ichikawa. Man, I listened to like every Wrestling Observer, and I don't remember him saying this, but so I don't know the context, but if he really said something like that, you gotta assume it was a wrestler. Because, like, why would he even mention this and then say people who shall be left unnamed? So I think Maddie's onto something. Might sound ridiculous, but I don't know.
Fucking Dave Meltzer did not clap no fucking Manami Toyota, dude. Are you out of your mind, Maddie? What are you talking about? What I did find interesting, though, is that if this quote is true, and I'm not sure it is, he says people. So is fucking Dave out here just running the trizzy? I'm not sure. That's even more interesting to me. I don't know. It's a wild man. That man he wears fucking moto denim, man. He lives a wild life. Anyway.
Do you want to take a break, or you just want to go into the next shit? What are we doing?
I thought we were doing 2-man scramble, man. What the fuck?
But I thought 2-man scramble is also our main segment. Or what are we doing? Do you want?
Right.
Okay, we'll do separate 2-man scramble. But I don't really have much. But we could do something.
That's fine. I got 3 topics. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Your spitball. So I saw a clip of the Fox show, and Triple H was on. And speaking of this, this drafting thing, he announced that Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, they got traded for essentially future picks. And I thought, man, forget Shorty Gable. Like, this has to be like the most definitive way to let the world know that you're a bozo. Because, like, I watch sports, and if anyone gets traded for fucking cash considerations or future picks, that means you're a bozo. So, Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss, it's over for you guys. You didn't get anything in return. But anyway, I thought about this as well. Like, how long until we get, like, an active ticker at the bottom of, like, SmackDown, like, letting us know about the waiver wire and who, like, got designated for assignment? Like, is this gonna happen, Mike? Do you think this is a real thing? I know they're trying to do the whole sports angle, but man, if it gets into, like, salary caps and shit, like, I really might cancel the network after being a day one subscriber.
Dude, I have never, like, ever accused Dave Meltzer of being wrong of things like some people do, where they just, like, misconstrue his words, or I don't know, but it seems like every day people are saying he said something wrong that I somehow missed, but the one thing I'm going to accuse him of being wrong of and being upset about is for, like, the past month, he was like, oh, they're going to treat it seriously. They're going to treat that draft seriously, and it's going to be like this serious presentation. And it was not. It was silly. It was dumb. I don't think anybody in WWE has ever seen a real sports draft before. It was just wild. Like, that's what I wanted. I wanted what you just said. And they had, like, a little ticker going on the bottom of the screen, but it was lame. They tried to have, like, Samoa Joe doing, like, analysis, and it was so weak. This was, like, a major letdown. I don't think they'll ever get to that point because I just don't think they know how to. That future pick shit was that's real sad because it's fake wrestling. They own everybody. Like, they don't, it's not like they were drafting people from, like, Noah or New Japan. Like, oh, right, we're going to pick up, we're going to pick up, like, Okada. Like, that didn't happen. They're just picking people they already own. So it's just kind of like, not even people from NXT UK or anything, just straight up people. So to say you're going to be for future picks, man, that is some shit. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to get to that point in WWE. I kind of think Fox wants to do that, and I guess we'll get to that in the next segment, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
All right, my last 2-man scramble. For those that watch Terrace House, this is a possible spoiler, so maybe fast forward 3 minutes. But I need to talk about this with somebody. Mike, this is crazy. Like, I can't even just get the words out. But anyway, apparently, the new member of Terrace House this season is one Tokyo Cyber Squad member, Hana Kimura, which is fucking crazy to me. I'm very, very excited about this. I'm wondering who's going to shoot their shot. I wonder if she's going to get into any arguments about washing the dishes, taking people's groceries. Like, if this is real, no words. Like, this is going to be the all-time season. It already is already, for those that do watch Terrace House. Wei Ting, shout out to you. But anyway, if you could pick one wrestling personality to move in after Hana leaves, who would it be?
Man, I was completely off board after like a couple seasons of Terrace House because it was like I saw the writing on the wall where it was getting a little too American for me. But I'll be right back on board if this happens because that's pretty wild. It does make sense though. It seems like in Japan, like Mexico, like fucking Dragon Lee and a bunch of other people were on like Mexican Survivor for months. Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't seem like that far fetched. I guess I think it'd be more realistic if it was like a more bottom level Stardom wrestler or even a different. But as far as a Terrace House situation, because Terrace House has like a way different vibe than most American reality shows where it's a little more low key. So it has to be somebody that's not like in your face all the time. I think it would be. Actually, I'm just going to contradict what I just said. I think it would be pretty funny if, again, Terrace House takes place in Japan. Now, I've never watched the Hawaii version, so I'm going to pretend it's not Hawaii. It's Japan. Mojo Rawley shows up. He just walks through the door one day and doesn't speak a lick of Japanese. And he just sits on the couch waiting for his new roommates to come in. And I think that would be a pretty good show.
I was going to go with Tomohiro Ishii, but I would love to see Mojo Rawley just not do his dishes and like his 5 other roommates just talking wild shit behind his back or in front of his face because he can't speak Japanese. So they would do that move for sure. Anyway, today's topic.
Oh, I have a couple quick.
You do have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just off the top of my head. One I was thinking of, but I could do it. First, a softball. More Fire Pro talk. They just announced today that they're releasing the biggest scam DLC ever for $20, where you get I guess you get like you can create entrances, but I mean it's not, if you guys haven't played Fire Pro, it's basically a 2D game. You're not going to be creating any kind of wild entrances, but I guess like basically what it boils down to is that you can put like a belt on your guy when he walks to the ring, which I don't know. I play NBA 2K. I think like the weekly updates are way more advanced than being able to put a belt on your guy. You can also you have editable team logos, which I think means that like you can put like your own like promotion logos, and that's kind of cool. Not $20 cool. And finally, they're adding new venues, which I'd be all about, but it's 3 new venues. And, again, like, dude, for $20, you can throw in 5. I am hoping to bring it back to the beginning. I'm hoping for a Gato Move venue. Somebody tweeted me that and said, Bert, who listens to the show, tweeted, what if they had added the Gato Move venue? And I think that's the only thing that would get me to spend that $20 is, if they did something wild like that. Like it's just some weird venue like that. I would probably plunk down the $20. So I guess to make this more of a question and make this a little more interactive is that it seems there's 2 parties when it comes to these kind of like these just like scam DLCs by Fire Pro. There's the one party where it's like, dude, how the hell are you charging $20 for something that's like 4 lines of code and that's like literally 600 kilobytes? Like it's in like, and then there's the other philosophy that this is a niche game and like these dudes are like this, they're putting their blood, sweat and tears into this. We need to give them all the money possible. What do you think about this, Al? Do you think this is a scam or what?
For $20, I was wondering about this though. I do think it's a little high, and you're a person that bought the season pass and you don't even get this.
No.
So, like, what did you even get with that season pass? Like, in retrospect,
I got like the New Japan Juniors.
I
think promoter mode. You got promoter mode, and I think one other thing. I know it said it was 3 things, but I think it said in more to come. But that more to come was a lie, and it was just those 3 things. So yeah, I can't. Like, if it goes on sale, I'll definitely buy it, just because I know the whole create entrance thing is going to fuck with all my edits, and all my edits are probably going to be broken after this or something. But, yeah, it just seems like, dude, like $10 is fair. That's a fair thing for your blood, sweat, and tears. But 20 is just, that's insane.
The only thing I can think about is, like, if it gives me the option to, like, add catcalls and, like, real questionable whistles, yeah, maybe I'll buy it. Zona 23, coupled with all the catcalls in the world. Just make it a little sketchy. Yeah, maybe I'll buy it.
Zone of 23 Junkyard. It doesn't even have to be the Junkyard. Anything with the car, that other venue that Freedoms uses with the car. Yeah, I might pluck down the 20, but if it's just like 3 reskins of kind of the same size venues, fuck that.
Yeah.
I guess my last one is a little controversial. Yeah.
What did you learn from fucking episode 96, Mike?
Yeah. So I've never had a problem with intergender wrestling. I don't understand people who do have it. It's just like, it's wrestling, man. It's okay if ladies fight guys. And I just, I never really thought about it. And the other day I was like, man, some people, like some promotions, they really like overdo it. And I'm just like, I don't really need to see this much intergender wrestling. Like, it's cool, but I don't need to see it all the time. And I discovered a dirty, dirty secret over the past couple weeks. And that's the intergender wrestling gets the hits on YouTube and, for perverts. And I just never understood that. And, it's like real calculated where there's like screenshots of like men, putting on some violence on top of women and like, real like kind of shady captions. That's like, so-and-so is dominating so-and-so. And, that's the ugly side of this business I never knew about. So it's weird that I'm into, the ugly side of the wrestling business and I never knew about this. And it's pretty eye-opening to me that this is why intergender wrestling happens, is because it's perverted. And I don't know, for some reason, woman on woman wrestling is more perverted to me than man on woman wrestling. And I don't know. I have no real comments to this, except I just feel like a fucking idiot that the wool was pulled over my eyes, doing this stupid podcast for almost 100 episodes, getting into the seedy underbelly of wrestling. And I'm just realizing now that, intergender wrestling is, it's motivated by perversions, by gross perversions on top of that. So, I'm still fine with it, but now I understand if people are not fine with it, because I never really understood that aspect, and I just wanted to put that out there in the world.
Not much to add. Intergender wrestling's fine to me. There's plenty of women out there that could beat the shit out of me. So in terms of like, oh, is it real? Is it not? Io Shirai Pentagon, dude. Watch that shit. Tell me that's not entertaining. But anyway, main topic time or what?
Yeah, sure.
For sure. A fall season catch-up. Al and Mike discuss the newfound wrestling wars with their old-ass brains. Please stay tuned.
Prodigy on the beat.
I'm the shit. If I get her to the crib, I got a hit. Man, I give it up quick, I robbed the bitch. I don't even call her rap, I'm talking shit. Me and G-Bo Lynn hit, but they socked the bitch. It was a one-hitter quitter, we dropped the bitch. Designer fit with the kicks, I'm confident. I'm just a saucy ass nigga, no condiment. All I wanna do is eat, I need a meal. You can tell that I'm shining when you see the grill. If I bust in your gut, bitch, eat this pill. This nigga Bill hella fake, how the fuck he real? I only fuck from the back, I'm a real dog. For these niggas talking shit, get peeled off. Ain't gotta pay for this fade, I'll steal off. Cut your hair from your throat and get it mailed off.
And we're back with that world champion sound. Today's topic, a fall season catch-up. So pretty much, we didn't get to talk about the launch of the Wednesday TV Wars while I was gone on vacation. I did find out a gem though, so for all my West Coast Comcast boys, you can watch AEW and NXT live on the Xfinity app. So like, we've always had to like watch these things like 3 hours delay because we're on the West Coast, but for whatever reason, the application that Xfinity provides, you can watch it live. I'm not sure why they don't have this channel dedicated on the For Real cable box, but that's how I watched the first couple episodes of both AEW and NXT. But anyway, this segment is just going to be us talking about AEW, WWE, and everything else. So I guess we can just start off with everything else. I'm guessing you're pretty enthused about this NWA, Mike.
Yeah, so, over the past month, 75 different wrestling shows started. It's kind of weird, honestly, that so many wrestling shows started. One of them is NWA Billy Corgan's NWA, for the past 2 years or so, they've been doing YouTube vlogs. Like, their whole promotion has been YouTube vlogs, which is dumb. It's real stupid. But in the beginning, they started out with a character named Tom Strong, and he's kind of like, he became a folk hero to the vert bags out there, because he had like a cool storyline. There's this guy named Josephus. He came out. He's pretty weird too. And then they had Nick Aldis win the belt. I was there live for that. AKA the night the line was crossed part 2, where Nick Aldis defeated Tom Strong, and it sucked, and everybody booed, and most people were outside smoking cigarettes while it was happening. So I know NWA tries to spin it as this momentous moment now, but it was corny as hell. I was there. You can't lie to me. But anyway,
the night that Billy Corgan left in a huff, right?
Yeah, he left in a huff. He packed his bags and fucking left. But so they announced, like a couple months ago they were doing this new show, and I was kind of like, whatever. So I watched it. They would do the corny shit where it streams at 6:05, just like some old wrestling. And like the intro is Into the Fire by Dokken. Yeah, I think it's Dokken sings that. And I'm like, that's a real weird theme song to pick. And sure enough, like the show starts and it is a time warp, like back to, the 70s and 80s. It has that look. It has that feel. Everything's very 40 years ago. And it's cool because like they're not like, hey, you see this? We're in the 70s. Like they don't really ever mention it. And that's how you keep the coolness of things is if you just like never just point it out. Because once you point it out, it becomes corny. So they've been doing that. And it's pretty sweet. I don't think it has any kind of longevity because it's like they do squash matches and they do promos and it's cool to watch. But also a lot of their roster is just people from TNA that no one ever liked, which seems like a real weird strategy to be like, oh, here's Mr. Kennedy. And it's like, oh man, I've hated that guy for 8 years. He's going to be your top guy, huh? And it's just like, I don't know. Eli Drake. Damian Sandow. It's just people who are just like, man, I always hated that guy. So I don't think those guys being in the realm of old wrestling is gonna be like cool and like make me watch and become a religious NWA fan. But if you are a person who hasn't watched the show because you're just like it's not on your radar or you just thought it was stupid, just watch at least one episode because it is very entertaining for at least a couple episodes. We're only on episode 2 now. Like I said, I don't know how long the passion in me for NWA is going to last, but it's fairly entertaining. What the fuck else are you doing at 5 or 6 o'clock on a Tuesday? Just watch it. It's easy to digest, but it was a refreshing surprise. I'll say that. So hats off to you, Billy Corgan. You're doing a good job.
So I haven't watched any of the actual wrestling, but I have seen Eddie Kingston and the Stroke Daddy, Ricky Starks, talk that shit.
Yeah.
On NWA. It was pretty fucking good. Even though, like, it is a little jarring for Eddie Kingston, modern New York man, to be walking around on presumably, like, a 1981, like, wrestling show. So, the illusion's broken a little bit, but in terms of, like, the wrestlers, I have no interest in seeing Damian Sandow at all, but Ricky Starks, man, he was talking some shit, and I thought it was pretty enjoyable.
I also hope they kind of get some goofy wrestlers in there too, like guys dressed like a mummy or something, because that's kind of makes me think of old wrestling. So I hope they do that eventually.
In terms of everything else, have you kept up with New Japan at all? Because for me, after G1, like I fell off a fucking cliff keeping up with this shit. Like they've done Sonata Okada to death. And like there was no way Ibushi was not going to main event the Tokyo Dome. So like everything like since August has felt pretty inconsequential. So like I'm just waiting until January to come around, honestly.
Yeah, I was kind of pumped to watch that last one, and then so I work now. I have a job like the rest of you peons out there. I have to work for my money. Before I was just independently rich, and so this is the first time in over a year I've had to leave the house to like go to a job. Not because I've been unemployed that whole time, but I just, I had it like that where I didn't have to go into an office, but now I fucking do, like a loser. And, I was like all pumped. Like I woke up, I was like, man, when I get home from work, I'm gonna watch that New Japan. And on the way to work, I was listening to the Wrestling Observer Radio. And I know people have said that Dave Meltzer has been on New Japan's payroll before, but he was talking a little dirty about that show. And it made me, like, it completely blew the wind out of my sails. And I was like, I'm not going to fucking watch this show. Cause he was like, Osprey and El Phantasmo was great, but it went like 37 minutes and they did every single move twice that they know. And then he was saying like Okada and Sonata was just kind of like long and whatever. Yeah. And I don't know. I've never heard Dave Meltzer ever talk about New Japan like this before. And it just kind of like unmotivated me to watch it. So I didn't even bother. I mean, I've heard other people that watched it said it was pretty good, but yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off until we get a little closer to January.
So lastly, I don't think we talked about it, but speaking of New Japan and Bushiroad, they bought Stardom. Mm-hmm. How do you think this is gonna play out?
So yeah, they said that, they're not gonna really do much different. I think the one improvement we'll probably see the fastest is merch.
Yes.
I mean, as far as Japanese wrestling promotions go, Stardom's probably the easiest to order merch in America, even easier than New Japan. So, I mean, unless you're like getting New Japan shit through like Pro Wrestling Tees or something like that. But, you can just go to the Stardom website right now and order merch from Japan. Easy peasy. There's no middleman. You just fucking order it. I don't know if they're going to keep that convenience, but I do think they're going to have a lot more and a lot better merch. They're going to have 2 different shows on Japanese television. I don't know if that's going to be on their streaming service, hopefully. And the one thing,
dude, hopefully they don't fuck with that streaming service at all.
Yeah.
Inside thing, but yes, dude, just keep it the way it is.
I hope they do improve the streaming service a little. I don't know if they're gonna, but I don't think there's going to be many changes that we're going to see as Americans, but outside of maybe they'll have a little more money to play around with. Maybe the sets will look a little nicer. Maybe they won't just be doing their backstage interviews in front of a sheet anymore. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything drastic, honestly, outside of merch.
Yeah, which Hanakamura Spin Doctor's hat do you want? Once they drop them, I'll fucking cop it for you. Yeah. But anyway, like, I kind of hope they go all the way with it. I know the sentiment is like, keep them separate, but man, like, Twitter would be aflame if they did like some will they or won't they with like Naito and Hanakamura. Am I lying? They should just fucking do it.
The one thing that Dave Meltzer did say, I mean, it's not like this was fact, but he said this means that probably when New Japan does US shows, if there's a demand for it, they will bring over like Stardom wrestlers to do a couple matches, which would motivate me even more to finally go to an American New Japan show.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't want Stardom to be part of those shows, honestly. Yeah. WWE NXT. I'm guessing that both of us are pretty much off the train with WWE. I have been for a while. I didn't get to watch the main event for Hell in a Cell. Sasha Becky was really good, but everything else, I don't know, man. I did go watch SmackDown Live. And I always think watching wrestling live is a fun time overall. I could watch anything live and I'd get something out of it, but in terms of keeping up with storylines, like, I'm not enthused about the Saudi Arabia show. I'm not enthused about anything WWE related. Are you?
So yeah, I don't have the WWE network anymore, but I was interested in the Hell in a Cell main event. I was out and I came home, just in time for around the main event. So I put on the little pirate box that shows illegal things. And I turned it on, and it was the main event, and it was all red lights. It was The Fiend wrestling Seth Rollins in red lights, and it was like the last 5 minutes, and I was watching it on mute on a laptop while I watched like normal TV. And the last 5 minutes is just Seth Rollins like piling shit on top of Bray Wyatt and hitting him with everything. And I'm just like, what's going on? This is weird. And then, so Seth Rollins picks up a sledgehammer. And, like, I don't know if he hits Bray Wyatt with or what, but then after a while, like, Bray Wyatt just pops up, and he starts, like, beating the shit out of Seth Rollins, and then it fades to black. And I'm like, man, that was weird. I think Bray Wyatt murdered Seth Rollins, and that they had to end the match because he was dead. And I was like, oh, well. And so I just, like, went on, and then, like, a half an hour later, I was reading Twitter, and I realized that it was because Seth Rollins got disqualified for trying to use a hammer after literally piling weapons all on top of Bray Wyatt, but the hammer was like over the line, and I was just like, man, I'm glad I canceled that WWE network because I don't even want to get into that. But outside of that, I'm sure we'll talk about NXT separately, but I did want to talk about, because SmackDown is essentially a new show. It's on Fox now.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about that. The show still sucks if you're like me and you check in on SmackDown a couple times a year. It's no different. But I think that set is amazing. Like it looks so pro. It looks so good. It's never like WWE's production has ever sucked, but like it still looks even better now. So it's pretty amazing. I love that set. Even though the actual entrance ramp looks like Goatsy, it looks like a robot Goatsy, like pulling the butthole open, with the way like the things are. But no, like it's so blue. It's just like, it just really stands out. On top of that, I caught a few minutes of the FS1 show, like that's kind of like supposed to be like the, analysis show, like, like NFL Tonight or something. And, it's actually, that's really good too. It's really well done. Way more well done than anything WWE has any right to do. It's not corny. It's like really well done. It's on FS1, so I'm sure no one's watching it, but I was very shocked by how good that show is. So it's kind of like Fox's, I think they're really going all out trying to make this like a good show. And, it's WWE is just still WWE and it's not working. But yeah, it's like the set and the FS1 show are great. Everything else is still shitty WWE.
Speaking of WWE, I just read that part of their pitch to Stardom was that if they agreed to sell to WWE, they'd put Rossy Ogawa in their Hall of Fame. What a fucking deal. Anyway, I guess we could talk about NXT now.
Yeah.
All right, so last night, the main event for that show was Peter Dunne versus Punishment Martinez, and that was going against Darby Allin and Chris Jericho. Like, you gotta be some sort of delusional if you think I'm gonna stick around to watch fucking Punishment Martinez. A guy named Boa showed up. He wrestled Killian Dane, and I was like, man, this show... I was thinking about this on my walk home, like, when did NXT become so washed? Because at one point, it was like the one thing that like all wrestling fans could agree upon and like. And maybe it was like this Gargano title run. I'm not sure. I can't really pinpoint the exact moment, but there's 3 episodes into this show. Like, they're done for. Am I wrong here? Like, I know like a lot of it is them just like wrestling at Full Sail, but like even if they went to like actual like arenas, like I am not enthused in the least about this at all. Like even takeovers, like projected takeovers, like what could they really do to get me back on board? And aside from Io Shirai versus anyone, like it just doesn't do it for me. Like, do you feel the same way?
So yeah, I've heard a lot of people say the whole thing where they're in the Full Sail and that's what's hurting them, and I don't give a shit about that. I think it's fine. I don't really. It's like it's not like it's like normal. It's not like Raw where people are quiet. Like people are still going off in there, so I'm fine with it. I don't think that's hurting it, but I did not know how much like NXT being stretched out to 2 hours was going to make it so boring. Like after that first episode, it's just like lost steam. I think Mauro Ranallo for 2 hours a week is way too much. I think they should do something where like he's like a surprise where you don't know where he's going to come out, but he's only comes out for like 1 match a week. And then I think he would be good. But there was a couple weeks ago, there's Leo Rush Drew Gulak cruiserweight match, which is now the NXT cruiserweight title, which seems like a real dark days for anybody on 205 Live, because I have a feeling they're going to be gone. But yeah, man, I mean, I know it's not possible to shorten the show an hour, but it just seems like 2 hours of NXT has become way too much, unfortunately. The wrestling's still good, but it's like you said, like he started out with like that first episode was just like all bangers. It was like a takeover, and now it's Punishment Martinez versus Pete Dunne, and it's just like, maybe structure these shows a little better. So yeah, it's not like I'm gonna ever stop watching takeovers and stuff, but I don't know. I tried to watch the last episode after AEW last night, and I made it like halfway through, and I was like, I don't need to see any more of this, and I'm never gonna go back to it. So yeah, unfortunately, it's just I didn't think it would be like that, but yeah, I'm just like completely not into it.
I mean, like last week, they had an incredible match between Kushida and Volter, But I mean, like, it just seems like they're wrestling to wrestle, and so I just don't really care about it. So, whereas, I guess the final topic, AEW, I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do now. And I think a lot of it is the announcing and presentation. Like, Justin Roberts sounds like fucking Dave Penzer, man. It fucking blows my mind. So I was watching the first episode, and I was like, man, this feels like Nitro. For all the shit that Jim Ross got for commentary on New Japan, he sounds completely fine here. I think it's shot really well. And I love that they can do some swearing on here. I like how Jericho can tell everyone he's going to beat the shit out of Cody. I like how Santana can do his gun fingers. I like how Shivani can call MJF a prick. I'm just really into it, man. I'm very excited about Wednesdays these days, and it's because of AEW.
Yeah, I think the show's there's been 3 episodes, and I think every episode has improved upon the last. There's some things here and there where I'm just kind of like, I don't know if this is going to last. Like, kind of like, it's cool right now that they don't do any backstage shit. They don't do any fucking people talking in the ring for 10 minutes. There's there's very minimal interviews, and that's cool right now, but I don't know if it's going to be cool like 3 months from now. 'Cause, you know, you gotta kind of do something to advance stories. Like for instance, I know Hangman Page is supposed to be this great wrestler, but if I never saw that dude before, he's just kind of like a boring dude. Like, he doesn't have any character. He's a guy who's vaguely a cowboy, I guess. Like, that's his character. So it's just kind of like, I think he needs shit, like, you know, some kind of like vignette or something. You know, it's just something for a few minutes to like really stick out. Like, you see Darby Allin, you're like, ooh, this guy's crazy. Like, it's pretty easy to put 2 and 2 together, but people like Hangman, you're just like, I guess he's a guy. There's a lot of people, the music also, a lot of the music sucks. I think that's like, I know maybe not everybody thinks music is as important as I do, but I think it's pretty important. It's really up there for me, where if you have like lame music, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to work out for you. And some people, I think it's like 50-50 right now. I think like half the roster has pretty decent music, and the other half has like shit that they got from like that Fiverr website. Like, they just had somebody make them a quick demo real quick or something like that. And it's kind of bad. I think that needs to improve. I do see a lot of people online just like complaining about real weird shit that I just think they just want to complain to just hear themselves speak. Like, today I saw somebody complaining about how 3 episodes into AEW, how they aren't pushing new talent. And it's like, yo, this is being broadcast to millions of people. Like, 100% of the people on the show, I mean, outside like Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho, are new talent. Like, no one knows who the fuck Darby Allin is. Like, you know, my family doesn't know who Darby Allin is. I know who he is, but, you know, I'm not the only person watching fucking TNT, like a major network. So just because like Sonny Kiss isn't on every episode doesn't mean they're burying people already. And it's just shit like that. It's like, oh my God, like, people are bitching about the rules of the street fight because you could have rope breaks. They do that shit in Japan all the time. Bitch to fucking New Japan. Why are you bitching about AEW? Like, it's just shit like that where you're just like, okay, I get it. You need to nitpick. But no, yeah, it's been really great. Again, I think eventually they're going to have to do some kind of vignettes or something like that, because I don't know how many, they only have X amount of people. They can only do so many matchups. That AEW Dark part is kind of like, we're going to be talking about one of those matches in the main segment. That's kind of a weird thing to me. It's cool that they're basically putting it all out there and they're showing all their matches, but I don't think I'm going to be an avid AEW Dark viewer or anything like that. If you know, I hear of a good match, I'll watch it. But yeah, it's like, it's pretty crazy to me for seeing like Major League Wrestling on a major network, and like the crowd is actually like vocal and you can hear them and they're chanting. Because a lot of the times I'll watch Raw and I'm just like, maybe it's just like the way it's mic'd and it's just like I can't hear anybody. No, everybody's really quiet because they're bored. Like, so it's really good to hear people excited again. So that's really cool. It's cool watching a wrestling show that's 2 hours and you're like, oh man, that went by so quick. So yeah, as of right now, I think AEW is just hitting it out of the park for me.
Related but unrelated, can you ever see yourself paying $50 out of pocket though to watch these pay-per-views? Because
Hell
I
no.
can't. Like I'm just too spoiled into this belief that like I could just pay $10 and watch Wrestle Kingdom, you know? So I don't know like how I'm going to keep up with the pay-per-views that way. I mean, I know how, but I'm not going to talk about it on the internet. But it's a great show, but enough for me to shell out that much money to watch the payoffs. I don't know yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, man. I've last pay-per-view they did, me and Brady went to this bar called the Beer Temple to go watch it, and it was pretty chill. The bar is called the Beer Temple. I had my worries, and but it was like a sweet, like low key place, and I think they just put it on because they liked wrestling, and I'm already like checking their website to see if they're putting the next one on. Like if I don't see it soon, I'm just gonna straight up call and be like, "Hey, you gonna put on the AEW?" And if they say they don't know, I'm gonna be like, "Maybe you should think about it." Like I think it's a good idea. To be fair, I don't think it brought them in that much extra business that day. But I'm really hoping because dude, it's $50 for a pay-per-view in 2019, 2020 is not really cutting it.
Certainly not for fucking Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho, man. Like I would go fold laundry like when that happened when they were like both really good, like on Raw, but not now. I'm sorry. Even though, I mean, just to wrap the segment up, that Chris Jericho promo. What'd you think?
Oh, I thought it was really good. Obviously he's a pro. There are times like you always doubt Chris Jericho because he looks like a bloated dad and he wears like Joker makeup and you're just like, oh, this guy, oh my God. But he shows why he has his position and why he does this shit. Like everybody doubted him when he showed up to New Japan and that was great. Everybody was like, oh my God, why are you making this dude a champion? And you could see why. His crew is like, they're kind of a little mishmash, like just thrown together crew. There's a bunch of guys who don't really have much in common, especially Jack Swagger, who, is a known conservative and he's on this team of un-American foreigners. And it's just like, I'm sorry, not foreigners, un-American or non-whites. And, so it's just like, that's weird. But yeah, I mean, Chris Jericho made it work. He gave them like all a thing. They have their own t-shirts. It's working out, so it makes sense why he's in his position.
Should have went with fucking Judas Goon though, dude. Inner Circle. I don't know, man. I need to work on that one. Judas Goon, go ahead and take it. Up next, the world famous mixtape with Keith Knox. Who's that guy? Dominic Garini. I know that guy. Kana and Kenny Omega. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back to Vrtl Pros, episode 97. This is our mixtape segment. If you guys are new to the show, we every episode we talk about a few matches that we found on YouTube, a couple each. You can find the entire playlist at Vrtl Pros Mixtape, or you can subscribe to our YouTube at Vrtl Pros and watch along. I usually post the matches a day or two before on Twitter if you want to watch them before the show starts, blah, blah, blah. So my first match of the night is New Jack versus Keith Knox from KWF. I think I wrote that down wrong. No one cares. It's something, K something. This is from a couple weeks ago. I kind of threw this match on there. I think this dude John recommended it, I think. And he didn't recommend the show. I just saw him posted on Facebook or something, and I was like, that's interesting. You don't really see many New Jack matches, so I'll put that on the mixtape. And, cause, I don't think it's not like it's not like I think New Jack is doing matches that we don't know of. Maybe he is, but I just don't think he does a lot of them. So I was just kind of like, let's see what motivates New Jack to become a wrestler again. And this Keith Knox guy, I'm not really familiar. I did a quick Google search, and he seems to just be a big jack dude who's been wrestling for a long time, doing a lot of wrestling that not many people who listen to podcasts would be familiar with. That kind of low down, gritty and grimy Southern wrestling. He's doing a lot of that. And this is done on a very bad, blurry handheld. This is like done on like a Sidekick, like or something. It's like a real bad sub iPhone kind of camera going on here. Maybe like an iPhone 3 or something like that. It's real bad quality. So don't even watch this video. You know, you just listen to us talk about it. You're probably not going to want to watch it. This is a very interesting venue that this takes place in. It could either be like a hotel room, not a hotel room, but you know, like a one of those big rooms in a hotel, convention room or something, or it could be a barn. I don't know. It's like there's a lot of weird shit. Like the floor does not match the ceiling or the walls. It is just a very weird utility venue that they're in. It's gigantic. I have no idea what could possibly go on in this venue. It's not wrestling. I don't know what this venue was built for. It's very strange, and it's just one of those, I assume, Southern things that I would never understand with my Northeastern brain, because I just, you know, I'm not used to that lifestyle. So, yeah, very interesting venue. They do the right thing, and I don't know if this is at New Jack's request or it's just something you do when you book New Jack, but they do play Natural Born Killers throughout the entire match, which I assume if you want to get your money's worth for New Jack, because I'm assuming he's not asking for like a couple $100. I'm sure he gouges anybody who asks him to do a wrestling match for as much possible. So I'm sure he's, you know, you got to get your money's worth with New Jack. I was very interested in what fucking kind of shirt New Jack was wearing. I couldn't figure it out. It's a real weird color. It looked like when I was really little, there was like a Broadway play. I want to say it was called like The Last Emperor or something like that, and it had a very, very similar shape pattern to it. I don't know. I'm just babbling. I don't really know, but it definitely looks like a shirt you get with a free bowl of soup or something. Like it's not like a cool shirt at all. It just looks like he pulled his shirt from like the dollar store and put it on. You know, it's no O.J. Simpson airbrush shirt like the cool New Jack. Yeah. New Jack is it turns out New Jack is moving like a fucking zombie on this. It turns out maybe jumping from all those balconies wasn't a good idea. Maybe it has permanent damage to your body, because it seems like painful for this man to walk more than a mile per hour. He's really, really hurting. So, you know, nonetheless, this is not a great match. It's basically New Jack, you know, doing like the plunder and all the weapons at, you know, a tenth of the speed that he used to do it at. He's moving so slow, but he's doing all the same shit. Not all the same shit. No jumping from balconies, nothing like that. But, you know, just the fork and the chairs and blah, blah, blah. It's just in very slow motion. Like the most exciting thing that happens in this match is near the end, where Keith Knox goes up to the top rope for something. Who even knows? And New Jack moves out of the way, and Keith Knox jumps down and lands on both of his knees, just like flush on both of his knees. I don't think Keith Knox is a young man either. I think he's kind of up in age too, so he's probably feeling that for a few days after this match. And then New Jack kind of hits him in the balls with a chair or something, and that's the end of the match. It's not a very good match. I was kind of on the fence about putting this on the mixtape, because I was like, this is probably not going to be great. But I was curious enough where I was like, I'll put it on. I think there's probably others out there like me are wondering what New Jack is up to. Not much, and it sucks. But Al, what did you think of this match?
All right, so like you had said, New Jack comes out to Natural Born Killers. Keith Knox comes out to Ambitions as a Rider, which has to make this like back-to-back the most hardest wrestling entrances of all time. But I want you to think fast, Mike. Top 3 Tupac songs.
Oh, I don't like Tupac. It's
you
probably
can name one, then that's totally fine.
It's probably this song and what's the Hit 'Em Up. Yeah, those are probably the only two.
I really like Pain off the Above the Rim soundtrack. Ambitions as a Ride is number 2. And To Live and Die in LA, probably number 3. But anyway. But yeah, not a lot to add. New Jack is definitely wrestling at a very low frame rate here. And I thought, like, yeah, maybe he just saw Orange Cassidy recently on AEW and he was like, I'm gonna try that. Looks pretty cool. He's getting a big reaction. But anyway, I think the biggest takeaway that I had from this match is that after this guy, Keith Knox, he gigs, he turns around, bleeding, and this child in the front row looks to be like in complete shock for a couple seconds, but then he goes back to acting completely normal, which I'm assuming just means like he's just accepted the bloodlust in his life and he's just like forever scarred. It's like that moment where I watched King of the Death match. I was like, okay, I've blooded in to this lifestyle, so I think this is what happened for this kid as well. But yeah, this is recorded on some guy's Android, which stinks, but I'm glad they recorded it in landscape at least. But also Keith Knox, he for real gets hit in the dick with a bat, which had to have sucked pretty bad. My first match of the night is Joshua Bishop versus Dominic Garrini, AIW 4/4 2019. So I picked this match because it just popped up on the recommends, but I didn't realize that one half of the world champion sound is present for this match. And he also, I believe, had this match as his first half match of the year.
Mm-hmm. It's all
and,
true.
Spoiler alert, I think he's completely justified in thinking that. This shit was really great. There was a ton of vert bags in the audience for this show. But I have to ask, there was a guy that seemed to have stood in front of you for the entire time of this match. How mad were you?
I think that's just the way the camera was. I don't think that guy was in front of me, but yeah, they were just kind of like AEW or AIW, kind of like handlers, making sure nothing got too out of control. But, yeah, he wasn't really super in front of me.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, this clip starts off with Dominic Garrini. He dives into the audience, and who better to welcome him into the crowd but fucking Welf. What a moment on the mixtape. I was looking for that spit puddle on the ground, but it wasn't present on this clip at least. But some clear gigging. I guess is a pretty common occurrence on the mixtape this episode. But if I did have to gig, gun to head, I just think I'd go with Dominic Garrini style, but just like peppering yourself in the forehead with a razor instead of just going for like one long slice. It kind of looked like he was like ventilating the film on like a TV dinner to like microwave. So like when like both of these guys were doing this at the same time, like I was fucking dying. This is like such a moment. But later on, he has to take what has to be like one of the most wildest razor's edges from the stage onto a door. And then Joshua Bishop, he takes some skewers and then he pokes him in Dominic Garini's fucking cauliflower ear. Already a classic in my opinion, but I won't give away the ending. I think it's perfect, even though Mike used it as a screenshot for the cover art of for this episode. But this has to be one of the best I Quit matches I've ever seen based on violence alone. Dominic Garrini campaign from here on out on my end, the strongest of recommendations. What did you think?
As Al said, I was here, and this was my first half of the year live match of the year. And spoiler alert, I'm scheduled to go to one wrestling show on November 30th, AAW, and so I don't know if I'm going to anything in December. So chances are this will make the year end list. It is AAW does have Nick Gage versus Old Manser, so I don't know. There might be some competition. I gotta say though, a lot of the reason this was so good was because I was fucking blind drunk too, and it was very exciting. And that's kind of what makes a match of the year for me. Also, there's a part where Dominic Garrini gives Wes Barkley, that's Josh Bishop's second, gives Wes Barkley a pile driver onto the apron, and it looks very serious. And then Wes Barkley's just knocked out at our feet for most of the rest of the match. Welf had a good picture of that I was kind of thinking about also using for the cover, but I was like, that's kind of weird. I don't think And Welf, the other cover art that I did use is another photograph that Welf took, and it's very good for an amateur photographer. So, great shot by Welf. So that the power bomb, the Razor's Edge off the stage, I was on the opposite side of the room, so it looked cool when I saw it in real life, but this is the first time I saw it on video, and holy shit, man, it's like 10 times more brutal on this, because I didn't really get to see it that up close, so, I'm glad I fucking lost my shit in real life, because it really deserved it. So Dominic Garrini, he's, he has a real fighting background, so he's cauliflower ear. And Josh Bishop sticks the skewers into his ear at one point, and I don't know, man. I've seen some shit in wrestling matches. I've go to a lot of fucking ghoulish death matches, but for some reason, that skewers in the cauliflower ear is kind of gross, man. It was to another level I was not expecting. And yeah, a little minor spoiler, but since it's the cover art, they do tease a little fire play at the end of this match. And, oh boy, I can't tell you how excited I was for that in real life. Like, I was just like, oh man, it's gonna happen, but unfortunately it doesn't happen, but oh man, I was fucking waiting for that. But yeah, this stands if you haven't seen this, if this is not on your radar, it's on our mixtape now, definitely check out this match. I'm usually kind of 50-50 on I Quit matches. I don't like the whole sticking the microphone in front of people's faces a lot. But this is, one of the best that I've seen. So definitely seek this match out. My last match of the night is a big one that was very notable this week. It was Joey Janela versus Kenny Omega from AEW Dark, their dark match show that they put on YouTube. I think like minutes after this match happened, people are already buzzing about it and how it was fucking amazing and blah blah blah. So I wanted to watch this, and what better way to watch it than on the mixtape. Couple nitpicks right in the beginning, not to do with the match, but I didn't mention it in the AEW segment. But two real pet peeves about AEW for me are you got to stop with the fucking crowd reaction shots. I don't know who likes seeing this stuff, but it's not me. I don't know if I'm being selfish. I don't know if people out there like watching this, but I don't need to see somebody like pretend to be surprised about wrestling. It's just, I think it's gross. I don't like it one bit. Please stop it. Secondly, why are so many people standing in the front row? You bought a fucking seat, fucking sit in it. There's no one in front of you, man. Just be comfortable. Just sit down. It's really incredibly bothersome to me. I would be so upset if I was in the second row. So just sit the fucking down. Don't be selfish. Be mindful of people behind you, you piece of shit. Anyways, so yeah, like, I think this match lives up to what everybody's saying about it. This is the first match I have seen this year, and we are almost at the end of the year, that made me remember why Kenny Omega is one of the best in the world, because he's had a pretty light year as far as wrestling matches. None of his AEW matches, they've all been good, but nothing has been that great. But this match really, it really made me realize why I thought he was the best wrestler last year, because it's like, Joey Janela does not have what I would call like a Japanese strong style background or anything like that. He is, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum of wrestling than Kenny Omega. And they have this match where they kind of blend each other's styles together. And it's like, it's pretty amazing. Like I'm just like, man, Kenny Omega really is the best. Like he can just like move seamlessly into this kind of more hardcore ECW style and work in his weird strong style, like chop exchanges and shit like that into it. And they're just both working, and it's fucking amazing. Not to get too nerdy about this, but it's really good how they do that together. Kenny Omega is hitting these crazy dragon suplexes on Joey Janela throughout the match that are just like fucking brutal. I was just like, I was feeling sorry for Joey Janela's neck during those dragon suplexes. They're one of the, I don't know, man. I guess I don't know if I've never paid attention, or it's just like the magic was there, but I just don't remember Kenny Omega having these fucking vicious dragon suplexes, but they were definitely there. So there's a couple, they do it a couple times. they set up tables, but they set them up upside down, basically. So they're, all the junk on the bottom of the tables face up. And I have a feeling that's definitely going to become a thing where in the next 6 months, by halfway through 2020, we are going to be very sick of people doing upside down table spots. But it does look more devastating because the tables they use kind of like break like cardboard, or not, I guess like balsa wood, you would say. They break very easily. So the upside down definitely gives a better visual than the right side up with these tables. This is, it's pretty crazy. I think Dave Meltzer said, like, Kenny Omega's killing himself during this match, and he does some wild shit. I wouldn't say he's killing himself, but he does a lot of crazy stuff or he takes a lot of crazy stuff that you just don't imagine a person of Kenny Omega's stature to take, cause he seems like, he's a main event guy who doesn't need to be doing weird shit, but, he's doing it, and it made me wonder the whole time, like, why, if he was willing to do all this fucking wild shit, why was he going through that candy glass table a couple episodes ago on AEW that looked so fake and dumb? Why didn't they set up some real brutal shit for him to go through? Why didn't John Moxley throw him through a few ladders or something? Because that fucking, when he went through that table and it just broke instantly, it was like, oh my god, you couldn't even put a glass of water on that table. It would have fucking caved in. So yeah, I was kind of like disappointed. I was like, they should go back and refilm that with something more dangerous. But yeah, this match lives up to the hype. A little long. I don't think a lot of people who are more on the Joey Janela hardcore side are used to watching epic 30-minute kind of hardcore matches. But I think, if you are a fan of nerd stuff when it comes to wrestling, this is like a real good blend of two kind of contrasting wrestling styles, and it works really good. Definite recommend. But what did you think, Al?
All right, so Jim Ross, he opens up this match by saying he had lunch with Joey Janela earlier in the day, and that there's more to the story. But then he never tells the story, and I just have to assume that he was on his phone just doing dirty stuff. So that's my theory. That's my conspiracy theory, that there was a story to tell, but he's just preoccupied. If I tuned into AEW Dark and I had no idea who Kenny Omega is, I would just assume that he was a travel vlogger, because like his Titantron video is just him like gazing into nothing, walking around Shibuya with like some adult contemporary music that you would hear like when people unbox like motherboards on their YouTube channel. Like, it's just like a weird presentation, I think. I don't know what's up with this video, but anyway. During this match, they're like driving home this like, man, Kenny Omega was the 2018 Wrestler of the Year. And I'm like, it's almost 2 years ago. And I know like they're giving Kenny the story where like all of a sudden he's washed. But like, I'm just like pretty curious about like where all of this is leading to. Like, why, or how are they going to explain why in 2019, like Kenny Omega, like why is he so bad? Is it because Fortnite is done? Like, I'm just wondering how they're going to get out of this story right now. Not much to add, but they fought pretty hard. I'm going to call this the poison table. So if you hear that anywhere else, they got it from me. So the poison table spots, they were pretty fucking crazy, because like there's really no way of getting out of like getting super hurt like off the metal parts of the table. And so every time they did it, it looked pretty gnarly. But yeah, I went into this match with some pretty lofty expectations, because I listened to Wrestling Observer Radio, and they were saying that like people watch this live, and they were saying like this match solidified Kenny as the top spot in the game. And like, I don't know, like it was pretty good, but like I didn't gather all of that after watching this match. I thought Garini Bishop was like a way better brawl, to be honest, but this was cool. The last video of the night is titled Cooking Sumo Wrestler Stew. This is from, what's it called? Kana TV?
Yep.
Kana-chan TV? But anyway. So the thumbnail for this video has the question, can we cook chanko in America? And, yeah, you can. You can cook chanko nabe in America. It's a chicken broth. It's a protein, cabbage. Those ingredients are all readily available in America at your local supermarket. So, right off the bat, this video is not thrilling me with the question that they had posed. What is thrilling to me, however, is that they're headed to one of the finest American establishments, Seafood City. Mike, have you had the pleasure of visiting one of these in your area?
Yeah, there's one. There wasn't one in New York, but there is definitely one in Chicago.
Yeah,
and it's a very nice supermarket. Like, there's H Marts in New York and there's H Marts in Chicago, and the H Marts in New York are kind of trash. Like, they're dirty and gross, but the ones in Chicago are kind of nice. But Seafood City has them beat. Like, they're like clean and professional looking. They have fucking places to get hot food right there. It's kind of crazy that it's just kind of like, I mean, I'm surrounded by other whites, of course. So, it's like, it's not like we're all talking about Seafood City or something, but it seems like it should be a little more touted than it is in Chicago, at least.
So Seafood Cities are generally anchored by like Jollibees and fucking Chow Kings. You can go to Valerio's and get some baked goods. If you want to send some money back to the Philippines, you can do that here. It's just like a one-stop shop for my brown folks out there. So I love it. So a good chunk of this clip is Asuka and Kikutaro shopping around Seafood City and workers wanting to take photos with them. And Kikutaro, he has this joke throughout this entire segment where he's proclaiming that he's Asuka's husband. And I think someone might have a crush, Mike. I mean, I don't blame him, but I think someone might have a crush on somebody. Since Asuka is a real one, she goes to Grill City and orders 2 skewers, 1 barbecue one and 1 longanisa. Both great picks, even though that's a lot of longanisa to eat alone in one sitting. Like, for me to eat 3, like, I would need like a fried egg and some rice to eat that much. That's like almost like, to me, like eating like a brick of Spam in one sitting. Like, either way, I'd have to have these sides, or like I'd have to be pretty drunk to do either one of these things. So they get to cooking the chanko nabe in Asuka's backyard. And at this point, like, I'm a little curious as to what the kitchen situation is at Asuka's house. So this is the second time she's cooked outside. The first being the classic episode of her just camping alone in her backyard for her birthday. But this time, like, I don't think there's a need to cook outside. I'm just confused as to why they would cook in the backyard as opposed to cooking in a kitchen, but that's just me. With that said, Kikutaro, he does some pretty dirty, wild shit, to me at least, and he just starts barehanding this raw-ass pork into the pot without washing his hands, and I'm like, man, that could be like a possible toilet situation for one Kikutaro. But overall, I like this video a lot, because I like Seafood City a lot, and I do think, I talked about this many episodes ago, I do think that a wrestling-themed restaurant based on people crafting their own chankonabe would work in a major market. I think this is one of the better Kana-chan TV episodes. What do you think?
If Al didn't already put this on the mixtape, I forgot that I wanted to put Kana camping alone video on here, so I'll just talk about it now. But yeah, that's the other, because we've talked about it for the past couple episodes. Her channel, her video game stuff really isn't that fun to watch. It's kind of whatever. But her camping alone is very fun to watch because it's very depressing. And this is also fun to watch. I was very proud of myself for immediately recognizing that this was a Seafood City. Cause, it's just, it's very, you see it once, you see this supermarket once. It's very recognizable. I've been there a couple times. I was kind of scared of that Grill City place, but she really sold me on it because, it's not expensive, but it's also not cheap. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to get food out of it, like just grilled meat from like, some like kind of place like this. But it looked really good, so I'll probably get it next time I'm there. As Al pointed out, Kikutaro is constantly doing the "oh, that's my wife" joke. And even in the beginning of the video, he's like, "We live together." No, just joking. And I know what hitting on a woman is like, and when you're like this, so I get it. It's kind of almost cringy, I would say. But Kikutaro's not a cringy guy, so it just comes off as whatever. I'll spoil this for you guys, but it takes a while to see those feet, but then they come out when they're when they get back home to make the stew. She's wearing like some weird, like utility flip flops. I don't know what the fuck those things are that she's wearing, but you can see those feet. You might not be able to see the bottoms. I think the bottoms are what gets people all horned up, but you do get to see the tops. I'm sure these things have slang in the feet world, but I don't know them.
Tops and bottoms.
The tops and bottoms. Let me know, feet people. Let me know what you call them. What you call the tops and bottoms. Lastly, I'll say that. So I have been a city person my whole entire life, outside of save a few years where I didn't live inside of a city, but most of my life has been spent living inside of one city or another. I am a person who loves giant buildings blocking the sun. I love asphalt. I love all that shit. I hate grass. I hate nature. I don't want to fucking sniff a flower. I don't want to be around trees. I just love the grittiness. I love that subway smell, that hot garbage smell. I love it. At the same time, I would rather fucking kill myself than ever be in a place where I had a sad rock backyard. Like, this is just I'm from other videos I've watched, like that guy Freaking Reviews. He does like as seen on TV reviews. He has a rock backyard too, and he lives in Vegas. So and I know Kikataro lives in Vegas. So I'm assuming Kana also lives in Vegas. I'm sure Vegas is a fun city. I don't know about to live in, but the sad rock backyard, surrounded by bricks like that, like, man, there is not a more depressing setup I have seen on television than that kind of backyard, man. It's, so like the camping alone video is even sadder because she's just like camping alone in her sad rock backyard. And, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like pretty things. I don't need to be around grass and shit like that, but man, this is more depressing than the hot garbage smell in New York. That's for sure to me. Like, it's just like a sad sight. Kana, I hope someday you get a real backyard. I hope you get paid enough to move somewhere with a real backyard, because it's real depressing to me.
That was episode 97 of That World Champion Sound. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. I forgot to bring that one up. Where else are we? Discord. Discord's popping these days. If you want to participate and ask us a question or suggest a match for the mixtape, hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. I got a question, Mike, and maybe the fans might be interested as well. When's that 4th anniversary tea dropping?
Probably pretty soon. I gotta get used to my new working man life, gotta make sure I'm not getting fired anytime soon. So I hopefully by sometime in November, I wanted to line it up with the NBA season, and that's starting next week. So hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Cam, let's get this money. Episode 98, 2 weeks. See you guys then. Speaking of Vegas, if you're listening to this now, I'll be there this weekend. Hit me up.